Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Aaron Alexander Experience podcast. My name is Aaron Alexander. I am here with Alpha Chad, whom you all know, love, and miss. Alpha Chad, say hello to the audience.
Everybody loves me. I'm better than Aaron.
Woo! Let's go. Now, if you are watching this on YouTube right now, I recommend just clicking off and listening on Spotify or something. You'll see the crisp, clean, amazing video from this episode last week, but I just moved into a new apartment, and so I did not get my setup already. Really, it was just the AirPods. I needed to find my AirPods. I couldn't. They're in the depths of a box somewhere, and that's just where we're at. So here we are, guys. I mean, you guys requested the podcast. You all said, where's the podcast? I love the podcast. I was laying in a bathtub. I had a toaster plugged into the wall. I was holding it, and then your podcast came on. I've heard these stories, and here we are. We're back. So here's the podcast for you. Alpha Chad, we sort of discussed yesterday. We wanted to talk about something specific. It was essentially about how the world is absolutely doomed, but I believe that can also create a lot of optimism.
This is something that you've talked to me about, too, in the past a couple times. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like you and I have talked about, like, where do you think things are going? And, like, your response to me has been, we're fucked. We're all fucked.
Right, absolutely. I think that the world is fucked.
So maybe you could talk a little bit about, do a primer on your
absolutely.
theories.
So I used to view this as sort of a negative thing, right? I thought, okay, we should just be sort of believing in all of the most positive potentials of the world and this and that. And I used to sort of think as well, man, I want to help so many men out there to get better with women. And a whole separate podcast episode, or potentially this one, needs to be sort of, I've been thinking about this lately, a reminder of all of the benefits of game. Because this needs to be a whole podcast, honestly. Because when I talk to these guys about doing game, getting better with women, this and that, it's not just to get your dick wet. It's not just to get your dick wet. To me, I view game as this vehicle to personal development that is unmatched by by absolutely everything else. The getting ready for the date, the being a bit nervous about what you're going to say, the dealing with that tension, the moment where the middle of the conversation, everything is starting to drop off and die, and you have to have that frantic moment of like, fuck, how do I pick this back up? How do I pick this back up? All right, here we go. Boom, I picked it back up. Okay, we're getting near the end of the date now. I don't really close in my life. I don't close at my job. I don't close in my personal life. I'm not a closer. I'm not a dude who gets things done. Here's this moment now where Aaron Alexander tells me always go for the pull. I'm nervous to do it. I'm not a closer. Let me go for it. Let me go for this pull. Oh my God, it worked. She came home she's back at my house now. I'm a closer. It's all of these things. It's being at the grocery store. You left the home to go do day game. Aaron Alexander told you. You watched the infields. You go, hey, I'm just going to do what he's doing in these infields. Let me try it. You get out there. You panic. You have a conversation with yourself. Am I such a little puss that I am going to not even do? Aaron has given me the simplest zero-risk formulas on the planet. He's told me you can just go up and ask a girl if she goes to the Planet Fitness on Indianola. If I can't do that as a man, I am nothing. I am a speck of dust on the bottom of a shit-covered boot.
Wow.
And I will say, and I do have to pull back a little bit on the softness these days. If you can't I've now given so many simple formulas that if you do get out there and you can't ask where the Starbucks is, if you can't ask if she works out at wherever, if you can't ask if they still sell sushi here at this fucking Kroger, you're a fucking loser. And so you have to face that. You have to face that when you get out there, and you have to face that. And all of this is what game is. Hey, I'm the guy that doesn't even step into the gym, doesn't start the business, doesn't start the book, doesn't do this, this, this. Can I start right now becoming an initiator, an opener, before I get to the point of being a closer? So game is just so fucking powerful. And I just want to say this real quick too. And definitely hold on to that thought, because I'm sure it's going to be golden. But I was watching Kitty vs. Shrimp yesterday.
Oh, my God.
That's an inside joke about a video called Kitty vs. Shrimp. But yeah, so it is also sort of this thing where, you know, guys are just so human beings will find so many excuses. You ever realize how good your brain is at finding excuses to not take action on something? Dude, my mind is amazing at convincing me to not go to the gym. Dude, oh my God. Dude, my brain is so good at that shit. Holy fuck. Well, you're trying to be in a caloric deficit right now because fat loss is the goal. So at the end of the day, like, you're not even eating enough to where lifting is going to matter. So really, we should just be not lifting because that's going to make us hungrier. Oh, fuck you. You're a bitch. Aaron Alexander, you're a pussy. You're a bitch. Go to the goddamn gym. And that's the conversation you all need to be having with your fucking selves. So, all right, go ahead, bro.
So, when we did boot camps in the past, first of all, I saw you go through phases where first you were really, really attentive to the needs of a student who was maybe like nervous to go do something or whatever. But then there's a certain point where people aren't focused on their own empowerment to the point where it does them no favors to validate their like disempowerment. Like, I just feel nervous to go talk to her. And what I started to see is I started to see you get more angry and angry over the course of months and years on the boot camps. Not because you're still not attentive or that you don't care, but you've realized it's so much better for their benefit to not be validating those thoughts and to also just show them they shouldn't be validating those thoughts. Like, if you're seeing a girl and you don't approach, there's a lot of thoughts that you're probably having that are blocking you from doing the action. And those thoughts need to be cut out. And you don't have a man in your friend group in your life who has shown you how to act in that way where you could block out those thoughts in order to get the thing done that needs to get done. And so I think a lot of guys aren't focused. For a lot of guys, game is not an empowered situation for them. Like, talking to women doesn't feel empowering. They don't feel like they have control. And they don't realize that there's control in not thinking and focusing more. Every second you have a choice to focus more and more in one direction or the other. And what I've seen with you again and again and again and again is whether you're tired, whether you're not feeling it, whether you're not in a good situation, you are building momentum in your head until you're able to just, by the end of the night, you're killing it with chicks. And I feel like it's because you're focused on, okay, how can I park the car closest to the club? How can I, like, talk to these ones and open this? It's like strategic. It's not just strategic. It's thinking about the solutions rather than my brain hurty. Like, you know what I mean? Like, thinking about what's going on with you and trying to, like, bitch to no one. Yeah. Right? Like, you know what I mean? So I think there's just a focus on empowerment that needs to be brought to the surface for a lot of guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was sort of two things I wanted to hit on there. Dignifying. So exactly what you're saying, where there's been so many guys over the years earlier on, maybe not even so much anymore. It's like maybe I've even just changed my demeanor in videos and podcasts to where this is happening less. But there would be so many guys that wanted to show up to the boot camps and have these deeply sort of intellectualizing conversations around why they feel the resistance internally to do the approach and this and that. And the reason why they wanted to show up to the boot camp and have that is because everybody in their life up to this point has allowed them to do that. So their mom, their dad, their brother, their sister, their therapist, their whoever they've gone to for support in their life about their depression and anxiety, because we're living in a world now where that is just so, oh yes, it's so validated. You have depression, you have anxiety. So you get to do all of this sort of talking about this traumatic incident that happened when this and that and whatever, and you need to actually, and so I would dignify all of that, and you would be very good at that as well, helping them to sort of intellectualize whatever, but at the end of the day, what they actually need to finally be told is, shut the fuck up and go talk to that fucking girl. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, fuck, it is that easy, isn't it? Oh, it is that. Like, that's what they need. Because it's the same thing we just talked about a minute ago about the way that the brain can just create so many beautiful mechanisms for not approaching, for not starting the business, for not going to the gym. The brain can create all of this. So they've been living in that machine for so long that they just need somebody to pull that lever, shut the machine off, and realize they're free of it. And just be like, oh yeah, I guess I do just go up to the girl. Go ahead.
Something big. This is big for me. You know I've been like very neurotic in the past. Mm-hmm. Like that's been a thing that you and I have talked about, where in the past I was the thinker, right? And I think there's a lot of guys that like want to think and all that. And from my personal experience, going from like the most neurotic person ever, and the way I define neuroticism for people listening is just like, you just don't really stop thinking. Everything's about your thoughts, right? That's the best way to put it, is like you have a thought and then another thought comes, and it's just like there's no actions, it's just constant thoughts. And a lot of times unconscious. And I was that guy. And the way that like now, like if I go out to the club and there's just nothing on my mind, which is where you want to be, it's sort of like this meditation almost, where I'm out and I just feel calm at the club. I used to cry at the club, right? like literally, it's because I've learned to focus my thoughts. And like that's such a weird thing to say for game. But that is, I think internally what goes on for guys that get good is they're able to cut out the bullshit. And the bullshit is all the thoughts you're having when you go out for the first time and you're having all these, you're bombarded with, oh my God, are those people looking at me? Is this like, it's just like, it's too much to think about, especially in the club when you're being bombarded with even more like data. And so it's like, y'all need to learn how to calm down. And like you and I, like when we go out and stuff, like a student will say something, you brush it off, not because you're brushing off what they're saying or not listening, but because in that environment, you're teaching them, hey, look, like I'm teaching by doing. Calm down. Let's chill out here.
Yeah. There's oftentimes more power in being able to not think about something than there is in being able to think about something. When it comes to taking action. Right. So
yep.
Let's say that there's a UFC fighter he's the underdog. All of the betting odds in Vegas, they have him as the underdog. He's able to intellectualize, this guy's got a better record, he's got more reach, he's got more power, he's got more everything. They're able to intellectualize that all day. But there is so much more power in not thinking about their opponent's strengths and only focusing on their own strengths. That's where the power lies. Mm-hmm. And one of the best movies of all time, it's called Children of Men. The entire world is collapsing. There's fires everywhere. There's starvation. There's genocide. It's the end of the world. And the Prime Minister of England, he's still living in this lavish luxury castle on top of a mountain and just living this. He's eating the best foods and he's got classical music playing. And Clive Owen shows up to his castle, essentially his palace on the mountain. And he's looking around like, what the fuck is all of this? And he says to the Prime Minister, he says, how are you continuing to try to live this life when you know there will be no life in the next 10 years? And he grabs him by the shoulders and he says, it's really quite simple, Theo. I merely don't think about it. It's like he just doesn't think about the reality.
Yeah.
Are there guys at the bar that are taller than you, make more money than you? Who cares? Stop thinking about that shit. It is killing you. Your guys' neurotic fucking minds are goddamn killing you. I have story after story of women that I approached that I just genuinely, the fucking fat kid in my fucking body, looked at those girls and immediately categorized them. You can't help it. It's subconscious. It happens in a millisecond. You categorize them instantly as insanely hot, out of my league. Insanely hot, out of my league. Just, oh, she's out of my league. Oh, no, look at those chubbier ones over there. Let's go to those ones. Like, you instantly categorize that. But because I've gotten into game, because I started to challenge myself massively, I saw those girls, immediately categorize them, and there's like 5 instantly coming to mind, and there's more than that, where I'm like, oh, okay, but that's not me anymore. Fuck that bullshit. I'm not going to think about that. I'm going to go approach them with the same confidence I would this little fatty over here. I'm going to go up, and a big key to that as well, to all of you guys who actually take action and listen, is being able to talk shit to women. That is the highest level of game. All these girls I'm talking about that I genuinely, that the world would agree, if you looked at our pictures, that they're hotter than me. There's just no denying it. I fucking made fun of them about some shit. I pick on them. I talk down to them. You have to. That's the highest level of fucking game. And then I end up smashing or dating. I've had some really long-term situations with women where genuinely guys have said shit to me. Like, how'd you fucking land that, dude? Like, how'd you fucking land that? That's crazy. How'd you get with her? It's like, well, because I'm the fucking man, dude. And you're not. And it's because you're fucking Middle Eastern. No, I'm kidding. I'm just on a roll. I'm just playing. I'm playing. No, I'm playing. But I wanted to say one more thing too about these systems that we're kind of talking about here, where you're talking about going from crying in the club to then having times where you did go out and get the ball rolling slowly but surely, right? Like, you get that ball rolling. And, you know, one of these girls that I'm talking about actually just now that I viewed as easily just like out of my league, like way too hot, probably not even going to go approach her. It was the one who we ended up having that devastating breakup, who she had the baby.
Yeah.
Do you remember that situation? It was still back when we lived at the house with Trey and all of them. And so that girl, so I remember that night, and I just love thinking about that, because I ended up banging her and dating her for, I don't even remember, 6 months, maybe close to a year, like some long period of time. And it was magical, dude. She was insanely hot. Her body was absolutely absurd. She was such a magical part of my life for so long. It was so beautiful. And I remember that night, having one of those nights where I dragged myself out. I dragged my fucking feet, kicking and screaming, going out. Sitting there, having this conversation with myself. You fucking said you were going to go out, but you're tired. God damn it. I don't want to do this. Getting out there and not feeling it at all. And then just like, what's up? Hi, I'm Aaron. What's up? Rejection. Sorry, I have a boyfriend. Sorry, we're going to go over here now. Boom, boom, boom. Slowly getting amped up. Oh, a song comes on I kind of like. Let me at least try to all right, bounce around a little bit. Let's go to the free water cooler. Boom, boom, boom. And then before you know it, I'm on fucking fire. And I'm getting some fucking numbers. And I'm grinding on this little fat girl. And I'm fucking, trying to make out with her friend now. And now they're both mad at me and running away. And it's just like, I'm getting up. And by the time I come to her, and she's dancing on a fucking table. But by the time I've come to her, I now have the balls to go up to her and just reach my hand up to her hand and drag her down off of the table. Fucking full contact, eye to eye, and run the best game ever, and fucking just have no resistance after that. Get her number, text her, she's about it, go to pick her up in the middle of the snowstorm to bring her fucking over to my place. It's game over. So and if I just sat there in that emotion of feeling like shit, feeling lazy, not wanting to go out, not wanting to do fucking shit, I would have not had that incredibly beautiful experience.
And I'd like to add that a lot of guys will hear that and be like, oh man, that doesn't sound like something I could do. And I think that what you got to understand is what we're really talking about here is momentum. Like, no one is strong enough to do that out of bed I mean, maybe like a rapper or something. But like, you know, like somebody. But like most people, like if they get up and they have their coffee and then they're gonna like talk to a girl and do some crazy shit, they might not be able to do it, you know. But like with the momentum is what created that, and that momentum is you piled on thought after thought after thought that was towards the end goal, and you didn't have all these other thoughts in the way blocking those thoughts. And so the momentum that was created was solution, 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 solution. And then it goes to numbers, girl on table, figuring out the Uber to get her back home in the snow. Like, you know, you weren't feeling it at first.
Yeah. And I just want to say too, I don't think guys realize. I think a lot of pickup coaches and shit out there, I think that they whether it's pickup coaches or whoever, I think everybody is sort of in this weird battle to glorify how much of an incel they were before they got into pickup. You know what I mean? Like there's sort of this weird backstory battle where it's just like I was on the edge of a cliff staring over it. I hadn't fucked. I never had sex in my whole life. I had a gun and was staring over the cliff. And then like I changed everything in that moment. Like everyone fights for their backstory. I was a true incel. It is still my dream. I need to do this. I need to move forward with it. It is my dream to get a bunch of these guys who I talk about from high school and stuff on a podcast to verify two things. One, how insanely horny I was, because I was always trying to fuck these chicks when we were young, and they actually were hooking up with girls, and I was like trying to like fuck Shayna and Courtney and all these fucking girls. Rachel, what was her last name? This is one of my first ones I was trying to bang when I was like 12. Weird shit. And I was around that. These guys were like doing that at a weirdly young age, actually. And I got no play. So I fucking had years and years of true inceldom. And then even the 3 lays I had, the 3 lays and the hooker, before getting into game at age 22, they barely count. It was like gross sex. It was weird. It was like 2 times with each of these girls. I mean, it was not good. And I always have to say, you know, for one of these girls, she ended up becoming very beautiful down the road. She lost a lot of weight. I'm very proud of her. But anyway, and one of them has
you should tell her you're proud of her.
Dude, I want to. She's great. She's great. I feel really bad, man. I took that girl's virginity, and I can't imagine the horrible experience that I gave her for her first time ever having sex. I think about other women down the road who I also like slept with them and took their virginity, but I gave them the best experiences. The best. Because it came... Go ahead.
What if you hit up these older women that you're like, I'm better now?
Yeah. Oh, dude, I've had that. I've had a couple redemption stories. I mean, I've had some good ones. I had a girl that I don't want to go into too much detail because anyone I know would then know who this is, but just a crush from when I was very young to then finally ended up banging her at age 25. And it was such a redemption, such a redeeming situation. And then I had another one where I remember we made a video about this when we were driving. Dude, it was when we were driving through like the Great Plains, and we would see those thunderstorms from like a billion miles away. Do you remember that shit? Yeah,
I do.
That was so crazy. But I told that story where the very beginnings of game, I was still grossly fat. I was still drinking constantly, and I got it. And I got a girl's number. And I convinced her, and she was kind of fat too, and I convinced her to go to Chipotle with me. And so I got my first like date really from game, and it was maybe like 2-3 months in, and I just remember being so excited. This was now my first time a girl's now texting and down to meet up from game. And I go meet her at Chipotle, and she just hates me, bro. She hates me. She's alluding to the fact that basically, like, she was wasted when she got my number, and she ghosted me afterwards. I think it maybe went so bad that I didn't hit her up. Anyway, years later, I've now lost all the weight. I've gotten so much better at game. I'm like peak confidence level. I see her at 4th Street Bar, and at first I want to go up to her and say, hey, do you remember? Like, da-da-da. But I go, wait, like she might not recognize me. Truly. It's been so long. I've lost all the weight. I don't have acne anymore. Yada, yada. So now I go and approach her. She does not remember me at all. I just run typical classic game and end up pulling her and banging her that night. And was she any more attractive than before? No, but it wasn't about that. It was about me showing to God and this girl that I will fuck who I want to fuck, and nobody will ever stop me. That's what it's about.
Yes.
Let's
Keep going. Keep this going.
Nobody's gonna stop me from getting what I want.
Oh yeah.
If I ever get big enough to truly get canceled, that clip is that'll be the clip. Nothing will stop me from
Aaron
fucking
says
who I
no
want to
one.
fuck.
Yeah.
Does YouTube? I mean, God, is this video even going to be allowed on YouTube? We only had the one video flagged, and it was about the 2020 situation where Trump was claiming it was fake, and we talked about that in depth on a podcast, and they pulled it. Crazy shit.
Yeah. That's
yeah,
did you have anything else? Oh.
I just want to get back to what you were saying about momentum. That was such a brilliant point. It's so true. And these guys are, I've heard momentum sort of referred to as there's this boulder on the top of the mountain, and it is so hard to get it just to nudge. But if you can get it just to nudge, just those first couple of inches, now it's going down. Now it's rolling. Now it's building momentum. It's building speed. But it's just that first part. So many of you, Hunter, do you realize how few guys there are? There are such few guys doing the right actions and failing. There is almost nobody. If this is you, email me, because you literally need coaching. If you don't do coaching with me, you are severely mentally disabled. If you're this small percentage of guy. If you're the guy who is regularly going out, like 2 times a week minimum, that's bare minimum. If you're going out 2 times a week minimum, and you're getting in 10 cold approaches a week minimum, and this has gone on for over 3, 4, 5 months. So what's that add up to? 6 times 4 is 24. So if you've done 240 approaches minimum, and you're not getting any play at all, that's a very few of you. That's so few of you. It's like unbelievable how few of you that is. But if that is you, you do need coached. But the point is that everybody that's listening to this that is struggling with chicks, they're still trying to move the boulder at the top of the mountain. They're still just trying to like bump into it with their fucking bitch ass little elbows. They're just and they need a sprint and a jump. They need to fucking sprint at it with everything they got to jump into it. And that's what a boot camp is. That is literally what a fucking boot camp is. That is what, like, doing fucking coaching with me is. It's the fucking sprint and the jump into it. It's not the guy. This one really pisses me off. This one really fucking drives me crazy. I go, guy will get on a call to maybe do coaching with me, or maybe he's even signed up for a coaching call at this point. I go, how often, how much do you go out? Well, or how many approaches are you doing usually? Well, so usually I go out with my friends and like when I'm out with them, I'll see a girl and I'll kind of so I go, what? Okay, so how many? So what? What? You go out with your friends and you like see a girl, whatever. Yeah, like maybe like, I don't know, like twice a night or something. I would not get laid if I did the game you do. Like, this is what these guys don't understand also. Like, I've probably fucked more than, I don't know what the statistic would be, but it's got to be like 0.00001% of men throughout history. More than likely. If the average is 6, and any guy that's in the hundreds, I mean, you've statistically fucked like crazy. But also, what we all have in common is that we've gone for it a lot more as well. So these guys, when they're like really struggling and they tell me how many approaches they've done and this and that and what they do, and they'll show me their Hinge profile photos and stuff. And I'm like, bro, I wouldn't get laid either if I was doing what you're doing. And so this is all to say that, again, there is such a few amount of men doing the right actions and that are still failing and still struggling. There's such a few amount. And that is where there is so much benefit. You know how many guys will tell me on coaching calls and stuff like, "Oh, dude, I never thought of doing that. Oh, that's good. Hold on, let me write that down, dude. Holy shit." And I'm like, "Yeah, you just don't know. And how could you know? You have nobody in your life who, again, cares about we talked about this a lot off air right before we began. Like, there's nobody in your life that actually cares about you winning. They truly don't. They don't actually care. They might say they kind of do, but are they showing that in any way? No. Sometimes you have to pay somebody to care about if you win or not. You have to pay a coach. And then you have to fucking pray that coach has gone through the failures you've gone through, but a million times worse and a million times more. And then that coach has succeeded at what it is that you want, that what it is that you fucking need in your life. So again, I do just have to say, I do view it as almost a mental illness at this point to, like, if you guys are not doing well with women, to not work with me. It is mentally ill, because let's look at the course of your next 5 years, the next 10 years of your life. How old will you guys be? Will you be 35 by then? Will you be 40 by then? And now let's look at, like, what's going to happen over that next 5 to 10 years. 3 years from now, you're going to be really upset. You haven't had sex in the last 3 years. You're horrifically addicted to porn. You finally go to a little massage spa to get a handy from some little fucking Oriental chick. And then now you're covered in oil. Dude, I've gotten happy endings before at, like, masseuses and stuff. And, dude, you're, like, covered in cum and oil after it. It feels gross. It's disgusting, dude.
Is that how you leave the building?
Covered in cum and oil. Yeah, it's disgusting, bro. And so now I imagine that as like a guy who gets laid, and I feel so disgusting. But now imagining a guy who was really nervous and had to resort to that, and now he's covered in cum and oil and shame. And it was like an old grandma, and you're like closing your eyes to not have to like look at her. It's disturbing. So I just don't understand how these guys also think that there's an illusion that men have that they're going to one day wake up and like just feel different. I'm going to wake up one day and just feel ready to finally go to fucking take my life into my own hand. No, you're not. You will not. I'm telling you guys right now, especially if you're like 30 right now, if you're 30 right now and you just have not succeeded, and I hate to say this, I'm sorry guys, but if you have not succeeded at anything, then without supreme intervention, it's not gonna happen. And so, does your best friend Timothy care enough to come supremely intervene? Does your mother, is she gonna supremely intervene? Is your brother gonna supremely intervene? If the answer is no, then you must pay for supreme intervention. And I do think we just came up with the next title for something. Supreme intervention. Divine intervention. Supreme intervention. Like, it's not going to happen. So you must pay me to supremely and divinely intervene into your current bullshit routines where you do wake up every day. I know what you do. You wake up. Janice Griffith. Oh, who's like a Addison Rae, the D'Amelio twins. Yes. And before you know it, that one has an OnlyFans. Oh, Penny Lane is the name, has an OnlyFans. Let me go. Let me check it out. That's how you guys start your day. And that will not change unless I supremely intervene in your life. So I've got plenty more to say, but I saw you jot something. I wanted to see if you had anything to add.
Oh yeah, I think like a practical thing that's really helped me is I have a app on my phone. I mean, there's a lot of them. It's generic, but it's just the counter app, and you have different things that you can count. You title something, and then you start tapping it to make the number go up. So I can make like number of approaches and tap how many approaches I did that night, or number of lays, whatever you want, right? And so when we were going out heavily, when we went to Vegas and then Austin and all that, Bro, I got up to like 200 every night that I went out. Like I passed 200, I think, like 250. Dude, like I went like every time we would go out consistently, like a full night of night game. I would do 40 approaches and I would get like 5 numbers. That's me, like me. But like you know, I didn't really think highly of it. I was just like, yeah, I'm putting in the work, and I would still like get that. And you do that for a month. Like how many approaches is that a month? How many numbers is that a month? That can amount to dates if you're following up with them properly. I think, you know, when you tell me, like, a guy says he did 2 approaches, it's like, those are rookie numbers. Like, you got to kind of put in some effort, and you can get anything, you know? How many approaches do you think you've done in your life? You've done 1 million. You've done 100,000 at least.
Yeah, there is no telling. Man, it would have been so cool to have kept track of that near the beginning or something. I mean, there's no telling, but it is. I would, if God came down and said you have to bet money on whether it's less than or more, 10,000.
I see you do 100 approaches a night.
What's the no? I don't think I've ever done 100.
On like a boot camp night.
Well, a ton, absolutely. But even 100 is a little extreme. Let's say an average of like 10 a night times, let's just say somebody went out so 3 years going out every night doing 10 approaches, that's 3,650. So now let's say I average 3 nights out times 10 approaches each time, times the 52, and now times I've been in the game now for 10 years. Oh, now looking at that number, that statistic, I have easily done over 10,000 approaches. Because that number of 3 nights a week, or 3 times a week, 10 on average, times 15, or times the 10 years is 15,600. So that now allows me to have even like many weeks off and still be hitting that. So easily I've done over 10,000 approaches. Zero doubt in my mind now. And guys, you know, here's one of the biggest illusions that these dumb fucks have that really pisses me off. And it pisses me off because it's not just guys in game, it's also like a lot of guys who are against game. Is there's this dude, I'm trying to think, I want to really explain this.
I have my own version, I think you're gonna say.
Well, hold on to it for a second, because I need to get this out. There's a lot of talk and ideas around taking non-existent abstract ideas and perceptions and turning them into some sort of a physical, tangible, real world issue. For example, the issue of, let's say, body count for a woman. Oh, if a woman has had sex with 30 dudes, she's destroyed. She is mentally destroyed, like she's whatever. And a woman who's only had sex with one man, she's like an angel of God or whatever. There's nothing to back that up. I don't care about like different statistics and different things and like whatever the fuck. So what I'm getting at here, what I'm trying to sort of put together here is the abstraction of the metaphysical into the physical. And so the example I want to give is men who go out and they believe that every time they're making an approach, there's some sort of the Voldemort's Horcrux that's being killed each time. And so doing 10 approaches and only getting one number that's loser shit. Or doing 30 approaches only getting one number, that's loser shit. It took me 30 approaches to get that one. No, like none of this is real. None of this is real. So like, it's this fear of doing approaches because they believe that doing 30 versus only doing 2 is going to destroy their soul more. And what you actually have to get good at is you have to get good at understanding that none of it's real and that you didn't lose anything by doing the 30 approaches. And you have to actually reframe and go, no, I gained so much power. Right now, you guys believe that the Horcruxes are dying each time you do an approach, but what you actually have to reframe is that you're developing a new Horcrux. You're developing a new sort of thicker skin. A new piece of armor is being added with every single fucking approach. And that
You're
is the
pulling
truth.
away. You're pulling apart layers of your ego.
All of the guys I know, yeah, it's like there should be no ego in this. Because if you, bro, like, there's actually, this is interesting. It is actually easier to go approach 10 extremely bad bitches than it is to go approach 10 mid chicks. Because if you get rejected by 10 mid chicks, that's pretty brutal. You're like, oh, fuck. Even those girls that I'm categorizing as mid, as like below average, as like whatever, even they don't like me? Fuck. Whereas if you guys would just suck it up, get your dicks out of your own asses, and actually pinpoint the 10 baddest bitches that you see in the club and go up to them, now you can literally, and then have a conversation with yourself afterwards and be like, bro, of course she rejected me. She's the baddest bitch in here. Look at these chads lining the wall. Look at those 4 tall-ass fucking dudes that look like goddamn OSU football players. They're not approaching her. I did, though. Me. I'm 5'4". I'm Indian. I have a cleft lip. And I'm approaching the baddest bitches in the club. Like, that needs to literally be your mindset. And then when they reject you, it's like, well, yeah, they're the baddest bitches here. It's okay that they rejected me. So you guys, by setting your standards so fucking low, are actually destroying yourselves even more than if you shoot for the stars. The late, great philosopher Kanye West said, shoot for the stars, so if you fall, you land on a cloud.
I like it.
Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, that's cool. I think even just with us talking about like the numbers, you know, it's like anything. Mm-hmm. It's like the gym. There's no ego in anything, right? Like, you just gotta your focus should, you know, if you're not good and you want to get better, simply just focus on building those numbers and try to remove your ego from it as much as possible. Because whether it's business or anything, like you're trying to emotionally detach while still doing the thing. And this is just, it's not even a game lesson. It's just anything. Right? Mm-hmm. And so, you know, a lot of people who don't like excel at least one thing, I think that's why like coaching in anything can help. But what's weird is I had coaching from, I had a vocal coach who taught me so much about like other shit. Cause I had a coach at something. Mm-hmm. Like just learning how to behave in one way or win in one way teaches you other things. I learned sales from you. That was crazy. That was a trip. Like it all teaches me more and more about game.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, definitely. And it's like, man, there's just so many guys that come to mind where I'm just like, I know these guys who have maybe done boot camps in the past or did my mentorship years ago or whatever, where I really like them. I'm like, you're a good guy. You're a cool guy. But you, in this selfish way, actually, do not give that to the world in any capacity. And I think it's important for all of you to sort of recognize if you're a good guy with some decent intentions and you are willing to you know, take a girl out in the hopes that you get your dick sucked, or you are willing to, you know, pick up a tab when you go out with some friends and whatever, but you don't, you know, you're willing to be a giver in this world, but you don't put yourself out there enough to even have the opportunity to give in any way, that is actually a selfish behavior. And so I think that you need to also recognize how many people in this world are not good and are takers and do have very negative intentions with the people they come across. And so just on some universal karmic sort of scale, just be the off-weight. Be the counterweight to that. Be the fucking guy that's like, you know what? I'm a really good person. I do have a lot, you know, maybe right now you don't feel like you have a lot to give, but it's because you haven't gone out and found out. There might be a sport, like, dude, even like Hunter, for you even, like, there might be a fucking sport, a video game, or a skill, or something out there that you might actually be a top 1% in the world at, but you just haven't tried it yet.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that might literally be a thing. Whatever the fuck it is, there might be something out there, fencing or some dumb shit. Turns out I'm like super talented at it, but I never found out. So even on a basic level for you guys, like, you just don't ever fuck around and find out. You don't FAFO. You never fucking FAFO. You sit inside, you count down the days until GTA 6 comes out, You subscribe to Janice Griffith's OnlyFans, even though you could see her for free all over the internet. You're still paying the $6.99 a month. So it's like, fuck around and find out. Go do something. And this is the same. I got to say this too. Many of you know. I have struggled over the years on and off with weight. Not anymore. That was the old me. But I used to struggle with weight. And whenever I would fall off the gym for a long period of time, it would be so hard to go back because I would have to go face the reality. And the reality was that, I could run 2 miles with ease 6 months ago. Now I'm dying at a half mile. The reality was, I could put up this amount of weight on bench press. Now I pick that up and almost injure myself. You have to face these fucking realities. But what you have to do, and I took this from Tim Ferriss in The 4-Hour Body, which is a life-changing book for me that really maybe changed my whole life. He just says that the reason you don't go to the gym is because you are afraid of, you overwhelm yourself with this over-the-top workout routine. You downloaded the Athlean X app or the Kino Body program, and you're looking at it, and you're fat, and you're at home right now, and you're looking at it, and you see shoulder press, bench press, shoulder flies, cable shoulder fucking rate, You're like, holy shit. But if that's you right now, commit to going to the gym and walking on the treadmill for 15 minutes. Anybody, I don't care if you're literally 500 pounds. If you have a job and you leave your house every once in a while, you can walk on a treadmill for 15 minutes. They have the guardrails. You can hold yourself up on it. So anybody can leave and go do the thing and at least just be there. And Tim Ferriss says that once you find out that the hardest part of everything was just putting your shoes on, getting in the car, driving to there, walking in. So you find that out. And so the same thing goes for game, you motherfuckers, you pieces of shit. Go stand at the bar. Just go stand around at the bar. I know for a fact that all of you, and Hunter, we did go completely off track, and I don't care. This ended up being a great podcast, but this is what I'm talking about when I talk about how doomed most men are today. I know that there are some of these guys listening right now that they think about like just going and standing at the local cool bar and just ordering a water. Or if you guys drink, go get drunk. I don't care. I am sober, but I'm not really like a evangelist about being sober. Go get drunk. I would rather these guys go to the bar and have 8 beers every single weekend, twice a weekend, than sit at home sober every single weekend. Truly, I swear to God, I would rather that. Because you are at least fulfilling the greatest need that human beings have, which is socialization. Teal Swan talked about that. We've always quoted it. Like how she talks about how, the reason why people will go through a breakup and then like literally not eat for the longest periods of time they haven't eaten is because this deep need for connection has been stripped away. So as the body craves that, it doesn't crave anything else. It literally doesn't even crave food or whatever other dumb shit. So
she says it's higher on the hierarchy than people put it, connection.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. And so I know that so many of you, it's like it's just like I've seen you when we've been on boot camps, I've seen you get into like a coaching mode, right? And you can feel it. You can feel these new parts of your mind sort of opening up and connections being created. And I can almost see you sort of start to have a new idea about something and now excitedly put that out there. So these are all things that are awakening the mind. And what is that? Sure, you're like out there helping the person, but you're also just like connecting in a deep way. And and that's literally alivening the brain. It's fucking sparking up the brain. And so for you guys that are having none of that, and I know that especially since COVID, so many of you work from home, dude, I think there's guys that are listening right now that might not see another human for 3 days at a time. Maybe more. They don't physically see a human. Especially with fucking, I remember, I'll put him on blast, I don't care, Aaron Farrell. Aaron Farrell was the first person, this was new, this was brand new, I had never heard of it, it blew my mind. He told me that he would order Grubhub, this is before COVID, he would order Grubhub and that they just set it outside of your door and you get a notification on the app that the food has been left there. And he's like laughing about it. He's like, yeah, so now I don't even have to like see the person. They'll just like leave the food at the door. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, even to just consume food, you now no longer have to have any human contact ever. No grocery store. Even back in the day when it'd be the pizza delivery guy, you'd at least have to answer the door to get the pizza. And now I think these guys are having work from home jobs, Grubhub set at their door, and they're not seeing humans anymore. And you guys are dying. If that is you, you are dying. Part of life, if not the greatest part of life, is just having somebody, anybody, to just shoot the shit with, to just talk with. And I'll say this too. First of all, I run a mastermind program where tons of these guys have become like lifelong friends. I'm actually in a fitness similar to my own mastermind, but it's for fitness. And there's calls inside of that group, and there's guys shooting the shit on the Telegram or whatever. Find communities. Even if you're a fucking little nerd and you play Minecraft, try to find a Minecraft Discord server and like find people to talk to. And fucking find people to, hire me. I'll talk to you. That's a new program I'm going to offer. I won't coach you. I'll just talk to you.
Wow, what a great program.
I rant to you about like my day and shit. If anybody wants that program, Venmo me $500 and I'll give you 4 calls where it's 30 minutes and I will just like talk about my life.
Wow, that's an incredible deal. I was thinking about how connection is scary to everybody, like going for connection. But women have kind of the superpower of, being in social situations and being accepted automatically, right? I think it's a lot easier for a woman who's attractive, especially, to just be out in public and be around. It just feels natural, and people are talking to you more than you're even having to do anything. Whereas, like, for men, I think you have to realize, like, everybody is actually scared to take that first step to connect. And that's what I think I see the most in all of this, like the Grubhub world that we're creating, where no one has to see anybody, everything's online and no one's going out. It's like men are the ones I think that have to lead and be the ones to put their foot down first and lean towards connection. And I think it speaks to the very scary nature of connection that the world is going in that direction. It shows just how powerful you are by doing an approach, by opening groups of people, by leading that, instead of being one of the millions who just, everyone's just scared at home. Like, that's, I think, really what you mean when you say we're doomed, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think, I just think so many guys, and I blame so much. There's just like 10 different factors all at play, all at once, that are just destroying all of this. Destroying men's lives, we could talk about a few, I guess.
Top 10 factors that are destroying your planet. Number 1. And then
number one, I would say, so, we're seeing from a scientific perspective that actual testosterone levels and sperm counts are absolutely in the tank just from the 1970s. All right. And the 70s to now, 50 years, that feels like such a long time. That is a grain of sand. That is nothing. So 50 years from now, 100 years from now, it's over. It's over. Mm. So you've got that. Yeah. And because of that, then also straight up, like a lot of these dudes are just not even horny. So there's all of that, right? I mean, how many babies have been born purely out of just like horniness? Like just people fucked. People don't even care to fuck anymore. I think a lot of guys aren't even that addicted to porn anymore. I think they're not even horny. I think you've got, so that's number 2. So we'll just jump into that one now. So science is number 1. Number 2, porn addiction. So let's say you are healthy with the sperm and the fucking test and all, and you're a horny fuck. Motherfuckers be out here jerking it all the time. I like porn. Dude, I watch porn sometimes. I don't give a fuck. I like that shit. But I'm also out fucking. So if I was not out fucking and I was just like watching porn all the time and that was the only way to get the need met, that would be fucked up. That'd be crazy. So porn is a bad one. That's a real, real bad one. Access to porn, how hardcore porn has gotten. It's just so crazy. And I'm now talking to guys who are straight up like, dude, I had an iPad since I was 5. I started being able to find porn when I was 8. Kid at school is telling me about that shit. I'm like, holy fuck. I didn't see porn. I didn't even see porn. It still wasn't even accessible. I didn't see it till I was like 16. And then really even got access to it. Smartphones weren't even good enough to really have easy access to it. So I was like 19 or some shit. These kids were 8 watching porn. So porn addiction's a big one. You've got, I think, some of the most popular content in the world today for men around self-development is villainizing women. So I think you take, I don't really watch a lot of these podcasts that are sort of like more like hardcore red pill stuff, but I think that where they have a lot of really, from what I've seen, so like there's the big one, it's called like Fresh and Fit, right? I've seen some clips of these guys going around, and the clip will be like, as a man, like you should have muscle, you should be in that gym like every day, and you should be fucking whatever. And it's like, oh, that sounds fucking lit. Like, duh, hell yeah. But it seems to me like a lot of these podcasts are interwoven with basically hoes are the enemy. All women are hoes. Hoes are going to destroy you. Don't waste your time on hoes. Bitches this, bitches that. OnlyFans this, OnlyFans that. Like, it seems as though that there's a lot of these influencers that are sort of peddling that message as well. You had that with Tate for a very long time. Tate, who has some of the most incredible messages in the world, it was very interwoven with these bitches are going to destroy you, hoes, 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 they're going to da-da-da-da-da. Meanwhile, he's out fucking like crazy. So there's also this weird imbalance where these guys who also do get laid a shit ton, who fuck, mad hoes, are also sort of perpetuating this sort of pimp-like mentality onto guys that don't get laid. So it's not the same thing. It's like, you're not Tate. You're not him. So it just doesn't add up. So you've got a lot of that as well. And I actually even had a conversation with a guy who's in my mastermind. I love quoting this. He's probably, if he's watching this now, he's like, why does this motherfucker quote me all the time? But he's straight up. I asked him because he told me, and I'd never heard anybody say this yet. He said it almost like it's a bad habit. He talked about it like cigarettes, like jerking off, like alcohol. He goes, yeah, and I feel like I've just been watching too much sort of like red pill podcasts, and I feel like this and that. And I go, oh, that's interesting. I've never heard somebody talk about it like a bad habit. And I go, why do you like watch it? And he goes, so I think that, and he's a smart guy, and he said that he thinks that he watches it because it sort of makes him feel better seeing like women in such a negative light. And so now he can look at all the rejections he's faced in his life and realize it wasn't his fault. Because it's them. It's women are dumb and women aren't.
It's kind of like all these guys are getting together to like hug it out over like all the rejections.
Right.
Rather than like talk about like more empowering directions, which would be like, okay, how do we like stop hating women, move forward?
Yeah. Yeah, and
I don't like the hating women thing either.
It's so gay and so weird. It's so weird.
Also, I really want to say this. You, out of like anybody I've ever met, like guys, Aaron loves women so much. It's amazing to watch. It really is truly like so cool to watch you pull and watch you interact with chicks, and the way that you play with them and banter back and forth, and it's like magic. It's like it's more than just game. You interact with women in this very like romantic way that like they're interested in. It's almost like it's movie like sometimes. Obviously it isn't always movie like when you're getting rejected at BW3s or some shit.
Get in the fucking Uber. Get in the Uber. Get the fuck over here. It's right here.
These are the parts of the movie you don't see. But like, yeah, I mean, you love women though, and like that's the one difference that like you have between a lot of guys, and I think they're resentful that they don't get the results, but those results only come when you love women.
Yeah.
Right.
You have to view. Yeah, absolutely, and you have to view them. You have to view them as the treasure that they are. You have to, and in that same way, bro, it's just like, this is such like a midwit sort of like dumb take. Because I hate seeing people on the internet say it, but it is very true. But like, dude, there's just good and bad people. Some cops are fucking heroes. Other cops are just waiting for their opportunity to kneel on a guy's neck for 8.5 minutes. There's evil priests. There's priests that have saved a whole village of people. Like, and so the same with women. And so the way that you end up being able to discern, okay, this girl is a narcissist using, she's going to use me, all of this. The way that you're able to discern all of that is by getting good at picking up on these red flags and by becoming a man. The only men that have boundaries are men of abundance. Right now, if you guys are watching this and you don't fucking get laid at all, you are the least likely ever to have abundance. Or I'm sorry, to have boundaries. These guys, I've known guys. I think about back at the pizza shops I worked at. I think about like friends in high school. I've known guys where they're like, yeah, I'm like dating this girl and like it's complicated because she still lives with her ex because they have a lease together for the next like 8 months. But like, I don't know. I could see it really going. So I'm like, the fuck are you talking about? A man with abundance is like, yo, we can fuck. I'll fuck you whenever you want. Hit me up in 8 months when you're moved out and we'll talk about maybe moving this forward. Like, it's just fucking insane. I've had friends over the years where I see the way their girlfriends talk to them and I'm like, oh my God, myself and the guys I know that fuck a lot of chicks would never, ever. It would have, day one that she got that tone, it would have been nipped instantly. Like, yo, chill. No. You're not going to talk to me like that, weirdo. Get the fuck out of here. Like, no. It would, and she would have now either fell into line or she would be gone. So there's just so much here. Alpha Chad, dude, this was great. As much as I know that we could keep going, I do want to keep these to around an hour just to keep the people wanting more. I want them to keep wanting more. So we're gonna wrap up here. But yeah, guys, thank you for tuning in. And again, head over to CoachAaronAlexander.com and apply for coaching. And you'll get on the phone with either myself or a member of the team, and we'll talk about having me just divinely intervene in your life, supremely intervene in your life, and get you moving in the right direction. I am somebody who has now, I think that I've just had I swear to God, it's like I could brag about my successes, but I also just want to brag about my failures sometimes. I feel like I have failed so brutally so many times earlier in life that I've just now got the formula for getting out of it. It's like I failed so hard that I fell to the position that so many of these guys are in. And that has been before successes, after successes, in between successes. So I've now just got the blueprint where it's like, even later in life, if I fail at something, there's such like an emotional resolve around it where it will not destroy me. I don't think anything can destroy me anymore. I think even if I got AIDS, I think I would just like, I don't even know. If I got cancer right now, first of all, I would not do treatment. I would just probably take out the biggest loan I could and just go get wasted and fuck as many hoes as I could until the end. And I'd be like, let's go. Like that's it. People
it's very inspiring.
People imagine that this was another realization I had recently. People imagine themselves like at their deathbed surrounded by their grandchildren and shit. I imagine me on my deathbed like getting domed out. Like I just want a hot bitch like sucking my dick. Even if I have to pay for it at that age, like whatever. I want like whores around me and like getting my dick sucked. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Peace.
Peace.
And okay, I mean, we'll end it there, but I just want to make sure I don't mess this up. So, here we go. Yep. So leave studio or end. Oh, here we go. Stop. Here we go. Boom.